My dear friends, we ask the grace from God to contemplate our today's reading. The first reading taken from the letter of St. Paul to the Philippines, where we see St. Paul likes to consider Jesus as the most precious thing that one can own in one's life. You know, St. Paul was an educated person who knew so many languages in his time. He who was educated with the knowledge of philosophy and theology, he was also an ardent believer of God. He believed in God, and for the sake of God, he was active in propagating the faith, and also he was very courageous, as he was a respected person in the society, thinking that he was the one who had the knowledge and who was privileged with all the gifts. But then when he came to know about Christ, he wanted to own Christ. He wanted to belong to Christ. What was that which attracted him to Jesus? Of course, that is Jesus's emptiness, the humility, the obedience. Obedience and the humility through which one can attain success. The Jesus was believed to be the Son of God. Coming to the Gospel, we see the story of the lost coin and the lost sheep. We know that when we are deprived of the grace of God, we feel peaceless. But when we are filled with the grace of God, the graciousness of God, we feel ultimately happy. It is the grace of God that makes us more elegant, that makes us more beautiful, that makes us more powerful. So when we lose this grace of God, we start going away from it, that we become weak. We weak and we become fragile. We become inclined to many sins. God is waiting for our return to the grace of God. So that's what that gives happiness to God. That when we go away from the nature of God, the holiness, and when we take an attempt to come back to God, it is said in the Gospel, the whole heaven rejoices. Let us ask the grace today during this Mass, that sometimes because of our human nature, human weaknesses, knowingly or unknowingly, we go away from the love of God, from the grace of God. But then the moment when we come to know that we are going away from God, and we need to take a strong decision to come back to God with repentance, there the heaven rejoices. Let us ask the grace to be always aware of this fact, and also let us ask the grace that we may always be with God and in His providence.